The briefest silence before the breach is never truly silent. Somewhere, power hums through a wire, cooling fans purr inside the comms unit, and someone's pulse counts down a life measured in seconds. Eitan Koren studies the photograph in front of him. Grainy, red-filtered faces layered 3 deep over a narrow stairwell. These are the 3 Hamas guards. 2 standing, 1 sitting. Each one is alive at this moment. Each one is a gatekeeper to 2 hostages hidden inside. He closes the photo file. The tablet screen fades to black, and his reflection stares back, a face that hasn't slept for 40 hours. The mission has already begun. Reaching Gaza was supposed to be simple. Low-profile insertion, retrieve 2 civilians abducted from Israel's southern border 6 weeks ago, exfil before dawn. Clean and fast. But clean turned out to be a lie told by intelligence analysts who never feel the air shift when a plan tilts toward chaos. Eitan can already tell something isn't right. The data packet he studied before the mission, the pattern of guard rotation, signal intercept logs, and hostage heart rates carries a rhythm that doesn't belong. The intervals are too short, as if the system was trained to show certainty where reality offers none. He has seen that kind of pattern before. It usually means one of 2 things: an AI-generated overlay, or a feed manipulated by someone who wants the Israelis to see control instead of danger. Either way, Eitan doesn't trust it, but the team is already inside Gaza, and trust is a luxury he can't afford to question aloud. The comms operator, Yael, speaks once through the narrow band channel. Confirm last visual check. Eitan replies, the same code as always, then nothing. Just the hum again, the power, the waiting. Some secrets feel heavier when you carry them quietly. He remembers the night 6 months ago when his unit raided an apartment complex in Khan Yunis based on AI-predicted movement profiles. The algorithm said 2 armed males, but there were 4 civilians instead. The medic in his unit didn't make it back. That wasn't a lesson he forgot. Tonight's mission already tastes like its echo. The new variable is the signal. Mossad's SIGINT unit captured a 50-second burst of encrypted traffic, allegedly from inside the safe house, a code referencing water filtration logistics, which for veterans like Eitan is shorthand for prisoner transport. But the signal frequency matches one previously used by Hamas to lure Israeli teams into ambush corridors. No one confirmed which one it is. Command called it credible. Eitan called it too perfect. He's still going in. The road to the target building isn't empty. It winds through the edge of a refugee quarter, now half deserted under curfew. Every shadow could hide a sensor, a phone lens, a whisper through the wall. Eitan moves in small increments, guided by an infrared pointer from an unseen drone above. His team of 6 carries no insignia, no identifiers, just wait in silence. One mistake shuts down the entire corridor. They halt near the edge of a drainage ditch that separates the habitable district from a line of storage units. The safe house sits 20 meters beyond. The overhead drone stutters once. The video feed freezes on his wrist display. Not a full blackout, just a pulse like static interference. Eitan marks it silently but keeps moving. One broken drone link doesn't mean compromise, but it plants the first seed of unease. He checks his compass, steps forward, and smells the sand. Gaza sand carries the metallic scent of wiring and salt, an odd reminder that even dirt here knows about electricity. As they wait for the pattern sweep that clears the street, his hand drifts to the inside pocket of his vest. There, folded tight inside a waterproof sleeve, sits a note written in his handwriting but not addressed to anyone. He wrote it before the operation, just in case. He never writes before missions, only after, another thing he shouldn't have done. Yael's voice filters back in. Movement confirmed. 3 guards visible. Timing matches pre-brief. That last part makes him tense. Matches pre-brief. Perfect match. Data too precise is as dangerous as data too vague. Risk number 1 stands obvious now, intel reliability. The data guiding them could be genuine, or a built snare. Either way, delay means exposure. Risk number 2 grows in the corner of his mind. Command expectation. Every minute without visual confirmation, Tel Aviv grows impatient. And impatience for men like them never arrives as pressure. It arrives as orders. He separates from the group, sliding along the shaded wall toward the apartment entrance. The first guard's silhouette shows faint light on the cheekbone. intermittent glint off a rifle sling. No panic there, no twitch. Just calm surveillance. Eitan calculates distance. He feels the stomach shift that always precedes engagement. Not fear, anticipation shaped like a warning. Before he signals movement, Yael breaks discipline. New message from the overhead relay. The second heat signature shifted 5 meters south. That means either the guard moved off pattern or the thermal feed lagged again. No one can tell which explanation matters more. Eitan's breathing slows. The entire mission timing depends on synchronized collapse. 3 guards gone within the same breath, then breach, then extraction. A delay or misread position on one brings the others into play. He looks once more at the photo in his memory, the 3 faces. Which one moved? Which one stayed? And who's actually inside the room with the hostages? A truck rumbles in the distance. Gear clutches grinding metal. Sounds shift along alleys. The moment to act slides closer, yet every calculation grows hazier. He wipes a streak of sweat from his temple and forces himself to remember the principle, the only one that matters in the field. You trust timing, never data. He raises 2 fingers to signal confirmation. The countdown starts internally, voice unspoken, lips unmoving. 9 seconds. 8. 7. Somewhere between 6 and 5, the static from earlier returns, creeping through earpieces and dark frequencies. The glitch that started as noise now carries a rhythm, a pattern repeating words in encrypted fragments. It's not environmental interference. Someone is probing their comms line. He realizes what that means. They've been noticed. He doesn't abort, not yet. Because what if the hostages are inside, alive, counting on someone hearing their silence before Hamas moves them again at dawn? The second hand on his wrist hits 0. The street is quiet. No order to breach yet. Eitan looks at the sealed door ahead, calculates distance again, and searches for movement inside. But this time, the feed shows not 2 living signatures, not 3. 4, and that 4th pulse changes everything. 4 pulses, not 3. For 6 seconds, no one breathes. Eitan blinks once, thinking it must be a data echo, a ghost scan from the wall's humidity, or a garment moving in airflow. But the 4th signal remains steady. Heartbeat signature, just below the captured hostage's signal strength. It isn't supposed to exist. The plan was simple. 3 guards outside, 2 hostages inside, no secondary occupants. Every route, every pixel of heat verification, every fragment of intelligence from the Gaza intercept said the same thing. Now there's a 4th, barely moving. Yael's voice returns, steady but strained. She's reading telemetry off a satellite relay jittering across cloud interference. Her sentence fragments as the signal fades. Confirm only 3 guards visible perimeter. Repeat 3. Externals confirmed. 4th heat unknown origin, unknown origin. Now that phrase is worse than hearing hostiles inbound. It means the precision built to justify a cross-border strike has just collapsed. Eitan lowers himself against the outer wall, trying to feel the building through his back. Sometimes structures betray their own occupants, a pipe humming hotter, floor resonance carrying motion. But this one is dead quiet. He signals quick hand instructions to reposition the southern point man. The man doesn't move. Delay, 1 second too long. Eitan repeats. Still no movement. Then a vibration buzzes through his vest, the short encrypted alert used only for tactical overrides. The point man's camera feed went blank. Static replaced his visual 15 seconds ago. 1 man off comms, 1 extra heartbeat inside, 1 unseen line between chaos and decision. Inside his earpiece, Yael's tone changes. Lower now. Controlled distance masking, growing unease. Command has noticed the discrepancies. They want a double check before entry. That means pausing 6 meters from the door, in plain risk range, waiting for Tel Aviv's screens to confirm a glitch thousands of kilometers away. Eitan knows they have around 90 seconds before a local observer somewhere inside the quarter notices something wrong. A silent street, a shadow where it shouldn't be. He whispers back to Yael. They cannot wait that long. She says it again, Command insists. He stops replying. 90 seconds stretch like a punishment. The static from the dead feed still trembles faintly through the shared channel, like breathing through a wall. At 60 seconds, the team's medic adjusts position. his knee grinding against gravel. The sound feels louder than an explosion. At 40 seconds, a brief movement flickers at a window 3 floors up. Thin black cloth twitching once. Could be linen, could be surveillance. At 20 seconds, Eitan rechecks the 4th signal. It's growing weaker. Whatever it is, it's in distress. He takes that as his new definition of truth. Distress is reliable. Device interference isn't. Distress always means life. He moves forward. The rest follow quietly, internal disagreement suspended. This kind of disobedience isn't discussed later. It's folded, erased, turned into independent tactical judgment. But right now, it's a choice that might end them. Eitan reaches the side stair. The door isn't locked. It's jammed from humidity. He applies just enough pressure to test the hinge. Inside, the oxygen smell shifts. Concrete, rust, stale food, and something else beneath it, faint and chemical. Not cleaning fluid, not fuel. Medical solution. He repeats the sniff unconsciously. 2 hostages, both civilians, 1 wounded. There was word of unstable conditions, maybe drug sedation. That's what Mossad briefed them. But this smell is too sharp, too active. It suggests ongoing sedation, top-up dosing, continuous, meaning someone is still maintaining them. The 4th heartbeat. He silently signals new assessment. Possible combat medic or handler inside. That changes everything. A combat medic means longer stay, higher value hostages, reinforced defenses. It also means a moral line. Hostage handlers are rarely combatants by definition. They medicate and maintain, not fight. If that person dies, this becomes an execution, not an extraction. Eitan catches himself thinking about the line again, the one that blurs, disappears, resurfaces years later when the mission logs are reviewed by someone far from the ground. He pushes the thought back down. They breach on his 3rd tap, precise, narrow, no blast. The door opens just enough for him to slide sideways, rifle leading, breath slow. Inside, light leaks from a small generator lamp. 2 guards are visible immediately, one near the kitchen threshold, rifle slung. The second slouched on a chair facing a hallway, both inattentive. Eitan's training runs silent inside his muscle memory. Control corners, align vision, identify friendly versus hostile noise. Then his eyes catch movement deeper, beyond the guards, in the back room where 1 hostage was supposed to rest. A thin figure crouched near a cot, moving an IV drip. 4th signal? Not a guard, a medic. He gestures hold to his rear partner. The partner misreads the sign as clear to move. A step forward scrapes concrete. A boot edge catches a loose spring from a floor mesh. Both guards look up. Eitan fires first. 2 rounds, near silent, but enough to puncture sound discipline. 1 guard drops, the other staggers toward the hallway, shouting something guttural. The mission shifts from stealth to speed. There's a flurry of motion, close quarter bursts, bodies falling into shadows. The medic ducks, who are shielded by the cot. Eitan rushes forward, disarming before shots reach the figure. Then silence again. It lasts 3 seconds. The medic is trembling, hands raised. On the cot, 1 hostage, semi-conscious, IV line still running. The other hostage, tied near the doorframe, eyes wide, gagged, alive, so far, so precise. But the medic's mouth moves chaotically, speech broken through panic. He holds up a small object clipped to his collar. At first glance, Eitan takes it for a comm module. Then he sees the label. A faint Hebrew script, scratched out but recognizable. Israeli manufacture. The medic isn't Hamas. He's one of theirs. The shock lands slowly because reality rearranges itself 1 piece at a time. The 4th signal wasn't enemy life, it was Israeli life. Unregistered, off record, buried by someone who had never planned to retrieve him. Yael's voice cuts through distorted frequency. Abort advised. Tel Aviv calls reassessment. Eitan doesn't reply. He's staring at the face of a man who should never have been inside Gaza. The medic's badge confirms his identity. Levi Ben-Or, Mossad medical contractor, listed killed in action 3 years prior during a failed Jordan extraction. Yet here he is, breathing, terrified, inside a Hamas facility that was supposed to hold only prisoners. Abort repeats through the channel. It sounds detached, almost sanitized. But if they retreat, that means leaving a living Israeli asset behind, and exposing the existence of someone Mossad buried to protect its own narrative. Another cost rises fast beneath the immediate tension. If he extracts Levi, Command will have to explain his presence to the Mossad Oversight Board. If he leaves him, the truth dies quietly under rubble. Either decision fractures integrity, his or Mossad's. Outside, new sounds ripple across the street. Arabic shouting, vehicle doors slamming, boots crunching asphalt. No more silence. Hamas reinforcements closing fast. Aitan turns back to Yael's voice, now audibly shaking. Command wants full abort. Radio silence, retreat via alternate route, demolition of any compromised equipment. He looks at the hostage's IV line. Levi's trembling hands, the dropped weapons. Extraction still possible, but narrowing. 30 seconds margin at best. He blurts a single question into comms. Who authorized Levi 3 years ago? No answer. He asks again. Yael pauses, then replies quietly. Don't ask that now, meaning she knows. Meaning Command ordered something they can't acknowledge. Every ounce of operational control begins to dissolve. All assumptions from the start, intel accuracy, heat signature analysis, target classification, chain of command, shatter. They are no longer rescuing 2 civilians from captors. They are standing inside the ruins of a cover-up designed to erase one of their own. The silence between each radio pulse becomes heavier than the noise outside. Then Levi whispers that the hostages were meant to be exchanged, not freed. That Hamas never planned to kill them. They planned to trade them for a captured engineer from Rafah. The only reason the building was fortified is that somebody in Mossad intercepted the deal and triggered the raid to ensure that exchange could never occur. The entire operation, from signal spoof to coordinates to AI models, may have been engineered from the Israeli side to end one thing: any proof Levi Ben-Or was still alive. Aitan's heartbeat catches. He's inside a mission that shouldn't exist. Yael repeats the abort one last time. This time she adds, "They'll send others if you stay. You won't like who." He doesn't answer, not yet. Because the 4th heartbeat is still there, still faint, still human. And now every order from above feels like noise built to erase it. Abruptly, the power flickers. Dim light stretches against the wall, outlining shadows that don't belong to anyone in the room. Windows tremble faintly as engines rev outside. It's impossible to know who's moving first: Hamas militants closing in, or Mossad drones aligning for sterilization. Aitan grips his rifle tighter, breath slowing into the same rhythm that started this mission, a soldier between trust and refusal. For the first time in hours, he feels something colder than fear. He realizes this might not be a rescue at all. For a full minute after the abort to Command, nothing moves. Nothing breathes. The air itself feels mechanical. Each inhale a question. Every exhale the beginning of disobedience. Aitan locks eyes with Levi, the medic who shouldn't exist. He's pale, weakened, trembling in the half-light. The IV still drips beside the hostage, the steady beat of sedative rhythm. Yael's voice scrapes faintly through static, half covered by engine noise outside. Her last words repeat on a loop, embedded digital residue. You won't like who. Then silence again. No control link, no guidance. This is where instinct is supposed to replace thinking. But Aitan's instinct has turned unreliable. Too many variables have reversed. The map he memorized feels like a trick diagram meant to test him. He signals the team to prepare exfil pattern Bravo. The medic and both hostages will move in tandem through the southern exit, covered by 2 men. The rest rearguard through the sewers. But something inside him whispers not yet. Wait. He checks the wall camera mount again. The feed that went dead still transmits static, a heartbeat of white noise. The point man lost earlier remains unaccounted for. If he's alive, he's either captured or bleeding quietly within 50 meters. The decision tree branches, each option poisoned. If they break silently now, they risk abandoning a man. If they wait, they invite encroachment. If they call extraction, the drones will reappear, maybe friendly, maybe not. The sound of approaching vehicles tightens around the building. Slow, deliberate, not a rush, but an encirclement. Hamas never rushes into gunfire. They prefer to box before striking. Aitan glances at the medic again, then at the hostages. One hostage's eyes are open now, faint clarity returning behind exhaustion. She moves her lips, forms a word without sound. He reads it easily. Trap. The word stays on repeat, an echo between her lips and his doubt. He signals Yael again. Request status of North Tunnel, possible withdrawal. Silence for 5 seconds. Then her voice, strained, but not confused. She says the tunnel's collapsed. But that can't be right. That tunnel was mapped and cleared hours before infiltration. The structural scans were solid. It wouldn't have collapsed without external impact. Another realization bleeds through. Yael's voice doesn't sound transmitted from the command outpost near the border. There's artifact distortion in her tone, bounce delay typical of longer signal routes. She's not where she's supposed to be. He tests again, confirm location. No answer this time. One of his men curses softly. The Gaza Street sounds grow clearer. Voices approaching, broken Arabic commands filtering through cracks in the walls. Then, a sudden quiet again. A false calm. They call this the short piece, the few seconds before the storm, designed to make a cornered team believe they're unnoticed. The medic, breathing shallow, suddenly mutters, "They know we're inside." They were told to delay until signal recapture. Aitan turns toward him sharply. By who? No answer. Eyes dart downward, shame mixed with terror. The voice outside shouts again, counting. Arabic numerals marking distance. The sound carves the world into measure. 10 meters, 9, 8. Aitan raises his hand to the demolition operative. Prepare minor charge to breach rear, but the charge doesn't prime. The detonator lights yellow, not green, fail-safe engaged. That can only happen if command overrides remote ignition. He feels the chill run through his spine. It's not Hamas holding them here. It's their own command freezing the escape route. The realization spreads across his face before he can hide it. One teammate whispers a question, searching for leadership certainty. Aitan offers none. He's staring at the dead detonator light. Standard doctrine says stay put, defend, await clarification. But doctrine assumes control still exists. Here, control feels engineered to fall apart. Another explosion far away shakes the windows, direction unclear. Could be artillery, could be drone collision. It could be signal jamming misfire. The sound sends minor debris dust down from the ceiling, soft drifts of broken plaster like sand. Levi coughs once, blood on his hand. You wait another minute, he says slowly, breathing ragged. They'll flatten this block. Not Hamas, ours. He's telling the truth or trying to. Aitan looks back to the wall camera. The static pattern has shifted, tiny punctuated bursts forming Morse intervals. Not random interference. Message embedded. He counts internally. 3 letters repeat MAX. That's the system fail code Mossad uses when issuing maximum containment order. It means sterilize the area of all own assets. He swallows air that suddenly tastes metallic. What happens next isn't planned. One soldier, Oren, panics under the pressure, misreading a shadow slip near the window. He fires a burst. The echo ripples down the street. Immediate anti-fire response, 2 RPGs slamming nearby, dust shaking the walls. False start. The room fills with gray haze, concrete breath cutting throats. Levi collapses partially, screaming for cover though none exists. Aitan drags the hostage back behind an overturned desk. Oren shouts apology, voice cracking between shock and defiance. Another command from Yael filters through, just 3 words. Hold ground now. He almost laughs. There's no ground to hold, not ethically, not physically. The building trembles. He replays Levi's earlier words. Hamas meant negotiation, not elimination. Then command initiated this strike anyway. Why? Then he remembers the mission designation, Operation Narrow Glass, a code he's seen before in reconstruction files. Those operations had one unstated objective: remove compromised personnel permanently, along with witnesses. That's the incorrect assumption breaking. That this was ever a hostage rescue. It was a disposal. He signals to the team, prepared to withdraw manually through drainage route, despite the report of collapse. If it's false, they live. If not, they die trying. Halfway through the spiral stairs, something thuds heavily above. Footsteps, more than one. Hamas fighters breach upper floor. Gunfire cracks downward. Aitan motions low, crawl to basement. He hits his shoulder wound on the sharp edge of concrete but keeps moving. Blood marks the trail behind him. Levi stumbles, arm around the conscious hostage who mutters deliriously. Another teammate carries the second hostage over his back. They reach the drain cover. Blocked, yes, but not fully collapsed. Rebar and rubble half passable. Eitan removes the cover and starts forcing debris away. And behind him, another explosion hits. Flash concussion, heat wave. Their internal radios go dead. He feels, rather than hears Levi's panic, hands striking stone. They're not aiming at Hamas, Levi gasps. They're targeting the signal coordinates, meaning the Israelis are now hitting precisely where they stand. The false release comes when a new voice interrupts every channel. Mechanical, female, pre-recorded. Evacuation corridor approved. For a heartbeat, everyone believes it. Every muscle relaxes. The Palestinian voices outside go silent again. Maybe, for once, command reconsidered. Maybe. Then the corridor map appears on Eitan's display. Wrong vector, wrong coordinates, leading directly through the northern alley infested with approaching militants. It's a trap dressed as salvation. For one absurd half-minute, he considers following it anyway. Any route seems better than none. Then his training resurfaces. The Israeli operations AI now controls routing, automated based on survival probability. But since the mission is labeled Containment, survival isn't the intended metric. False release ends there. He smashes the comms wrist screen against the wall until it shatters. Outside, footsteps multiply again, Hamas reaching the building's left flank. Time compresses to fragments. He gives a single order, manual breach through drain, forget the AI corridor. The team obeys without hesitation now. Doubt and faith merge. Only one instinct remains, to move before annihilation. Rubble tears, hands open, grime coats eyes. Eitan shoves the conscious hostage first, then Levi, then the medic's trembling form following. The tunnel's air tastes of corrosion and rot. The noise above them deepens. Missiles striking neighboring blocks, shockwaves sucking air down the ducts. Halfway through the crawlspace, the tunnel tilts upward, structural disbalance. One soldier ahead slides back, breaking his leg. Eitan grabs him and drags until they both collapse into a shallow chamber below an iron grate. Through it, faint starlight. Another explosion above seals part of the entry. Levi whispers, half delirious, "You shouldn't have come for us." Eitan doesn't answer. He feels his ear bleed from concussion pulses. Above, dust rains like ash. The sound of helicopters fades somewhere distant, indistinguishable whether friendly or not. He checks his breathing, irregular, shallow. Coordinates mean nothing now. He moves the hostages toward the chamber wall, pressing them behind a half-broken water conduit. It leaks cold against skin, muted, rhythmic, like heartbeats. That rhythm sustains him for a moment, a fragile illusion of stability. Then Yael's voice returns one last time, raw, unfiltered, location finally traceable to across the border. She says quietly, almost pleading, "You have to stay in place. Extraction can't proceed if you move. Just stay." But the building above them starts collapsing again. He looks around the tunnel. The only image left clear is Levi clutching his vest. Eyes stark with realization. "Stay means die," Levi says. The echo fades into the darkness. And for the first time tonight, Eitan doesn't know which command he's breaking anymore. Smoke is still in his chest when the sound of collapse finally stops. The shaking doesn't come from the building anymore, it comes from inside his ribs. The tunnel holds, barely. Steam rises from ruptured pipes, the smell of metal and burned plaster binding to the taste of dust. The last of the ammunition lies soaked near his boot. Comms are silent again, no voice, no data, no map. The only indication of life above is the muffled echo of engines pulling away. Eitan doesn't know if the Israeli gunships are leaving because the area is neutralized, or because he and Levi are no longer valid coordinates. The difference doesn't matter now. Both mean abandonment. Levi sits against the wall, his pulse uneven. One of the hostages breathes shallowly beside him. IV line snapped, drug residue pooling into the sand. The second hostage, the one that spoke, leans forward, arms tight around knees, still too shocked to cry. Eitan's shoulder bleeds again, sluggish and dark. His glove presses down on it by habit, not purpose. Somewhere in his mind, training still argues with survival. Stabilize, assess, signal. None of them apply anymore. He replays the events mechanically. The fourth heartbeat, the hidden Israeli medic, the false corridor. Yael's contradictory orders. The pattern forms something more disturbing than betrayal. Someone, somewhere, had designed this to look like an operation that simply fell apart. The perfect, plausible failure. He doesn't say it aloud, but Levi sees the understanding forming behind his eyes. They needed a closure, Levi says, pale, voice thin. A casualty in Gaza looks easier to explain than a man returning who knows what wasn't supposed to exist. The words hang in the air like smoke that refuses to disperse. Eitan doesn't confirm, doesn't deny. They wait there for nearly 20 minutes before the sound returns. Not drones, not rotors, but the hollow creak of rebar shifting overhead. The entry path back toward the surface has begun to cave. Every vibration sounds like a slow countdown. Before anyone suggests moving, Eitan takes a long look at the hostages, flesh and bone evidence that the mission fulfilled its official shape. Extraction could still make this a public success, a propaganda piece about efficiency. But internally, every file related to Operation Narrow Glass will now carry the tag closed with loss, the bureaucratic phrasing that erases who died and who was abandoned. He feels nausea rising. He realizes it isn't blood loss, it's recognition of what this moment really means. They weren't sent to rescue anyone. They were sent to quarantine a truth. When movement resumes above, heavy treads, quieter voices, it's no longer Hamas. The accent through the cracked ceiling doesn't belong here. Hebrew clipped. The commanders searching. Target verification teams. Levi looks up, panic rising. Not them, he whispers. It'll be containment sweep. Eitan steadies him with a glance. Then we move before they make certain. He forces the grate open farther, using the last intact rifle barrel. The path out is narrow but enough. Pain digs through his shoulder, blindness flickering at the edges of his sight. Still, he gets Levi to his feet. By the time they surface, dawn has started to break somewhere behind the smoky horizon, a flat gray bleeding into colorless light. No flags, no uniforms, just ruin. From above, Israel's own drones hang in holding pattern, movement mechanical, emotionless. None of them fire, they're only watching, ensuring. 36 hours later, public channels broadcast the official narrative. 2 hostages recovered in a precision cross-border raid, casualties unconfirmed, operation under review. The report never mentions command interference or the internal medic. It lists no names from the assault unit. Yael's voice doesn't reappear across any secure line again. Another officer, unfamiliar, assumes her identifier in system logs. The switch happens quietly, no announcement. Within Mossad's analysis division, an audit begins, not about the extraction, but about AI model corruption. The same algorithm that misidentified the fourth body now becomes the scapegoat. Its data lineage buried under 17 administrative classifications. The digital autopsy finds nothing verifiable, only conditional probabilities and incomplete logging. That emptiness becomes convenient. It means no person needs to be blamed. The error lives inside code, not intent. In the regional theaters beyond Gaza, something subtler takes root. Hamas communications begin encrypting in patterns derived from captured Israeli algorithms. In effect, both sides now share a ghost protocol, a mirrored logic engine that learns from each other's decoys. Every intercept becomes a hall of reflections. The truth of who sees whom first vanishes inside the algorithm's own hunger for accuracy. By the time anyone realizes, the conflict's intelligence architecture has inverted itself. Israel's predictive models begin returning probabilities that benefit the enemy more than their own command. And no one can find where it started because, technically, it began beneath Gaza, with a single leaked learning kernel buried in Levi Ben Or's medical console. That kernel survives because Eitan carried Levi out alive. A human decision made under smoke and pressure ends up rewriting the next phase of technological warfare. Eitan never receives commendation or reprimand. He receives silence, which in Mossad terms equals exile. Transfers follow, then suspension for psychological fatigue, a phrase that means he's remembered but never mentioned. Months later, inside an isolated recovery base, he reads a declassified excerpt from Operation Narrow Glass. It describes the mission parameters as hostage rescue compromised by environmental error. No names, no medic, no command interference. Nothing happened that wasn't procedural. The conclusion line chills him. Field deviation contained. Contained like a virus. It takes him weeks to realize that's exactly what he became. Levi disappears into the same silence. The hostages are returned, debriefed, reabsorbed into civilian life under restricted clauses. None of them ever speak publicly, but someone inside media receives a leak. One unverified clip of thermal footage showing 4 heartbeats during the raid. The story surfaces briefly online before being replaced by unrelated headlines within hours. The footage still lingers on encrypted forums, traded by analysts and foreign intelligence hobbyists who study anomalies. They notice a single frame where one soldier pauses instead of firing, a narrow hesitation frozen in infrared color. They nickname it the pause at narrow glass. Institutions move on. Protocols tighten. Algorithms are rebuilt with stricter control loops, this time allowing no manual override. The next generation of operatives grows up trained to trust numbers even when instinct rebels. The old principle, trust timing, never data, is forgotten. Eitan keeps a piece of the broken wrist display from that night. Its glass is scored with one faint letter, M, from where the fail code began. He keeps it as proof that systems can lie and people can hesitate for the right reason. He doesn't speak about Gaza again, not to Command. Not to Yael, if she's still alive. But somewhere, beneath both borders, the fractured AI network still pings an empty signature at random intervals. The heartbeat returns on screens as Signal 4, never explained, never erased. Operations end, consequences don't. For those who track the unseen wars, the question remains: how many of Israel's successes began as mistakes someone refused to correct? Hidden Ops will return.